For nearly a decade, Stranger Things felt like one of those rare shows that could do no wrong. It didn't just become popular, it completely took over pop culture and became the defining Netflix series of an entire era. And for a long time, it had a very clear identity that made it stand out. A big part of that came from how strong it started. Season 1 wasn't built on spectacle or massive action, it was built on mystery. A kid disappears. His mother starts communicating through flickering lights, and a group of kids slowly realize something is deeply wrong with their town. You had scenes like Joyce sitting alone, watching the lights flicker one by one, slowly realizing her son is somehow talking to her, and the show never rushes to explain how any of it works, which is exactly why it feels so unsettling. That sense of restraint is what made everything land, but by the final season, that approach is almost completely gone. Instead of letting the audience sit with the unknown, the show now constantly explains itself. You see it in how many scenes are built around characters walking through the plot step by step, discussing Vecna's plan, explaining how the Upside Down works, outlining what each group needs to do next.
This is Will. And this is Holly. And this, of course, is Max. They're in 3 disparate locations, but they share one very essential thing in common. They're all unconscious. What happens when Vecna captures you?
You go into a trance.
Which would look a heck of a lot like a coma. No wonder the doctors are so clueless. Max was never in a coma.
She was in a trance.
Just like Will, just like Holly. What if their minds are all in the same place? In Vecna's mind. Imprisoned.
These moments feel less like conversations and more like briefings. Even Will's connection to Vecna, which could have been eerie and subtle, gets constantly verbalized.
What if I was seeing through the eyes of Vecna's next victim, this victim he's stalking, which means I was seeing through
Holly's eyes. But if that's true, it would mean
I was him. I was Vecna.
Characters immediately interpret everything for you. And because of that, the show loses what made it so engaging, the feeling that you're discovering things alongside the characters. That shift becomes even more obvious with the Upside Down. In earlier seasons, just being there felt dangerous. Characters had to move carefully, stay quiet, constantly watch their surroundings. Even the smallest mistake could get them killed. That tension was always present, even when nothing was happening. In the final season, that tension is almost completely gone. Characters move casually. They talk at full volume. They stop to argue. They have emotional conversations in a place that should be extremely hostile.
Whatever happens from here on out, wherever this blood leads, I need you to do what I say.
So don't be a stubborn punk ass like you.
Yeah, don't be a stubborn punk ass.
You even get moments where characters stand still, focused entirely on personal conflicts, and nothing reacts. No danger, no consequence. And once that feeling disappears, the Upside Down stops being a threat and just becomes a setting. That loss of danger connects to the biggest issue, the lack of real stakes. This is supposed to be the end, the point where everything comes together, where characters should feel like they're in real danger. Instead, the show builds up major moments, then walks them back. A clear example is early in the season when Ted and Karen Wheeler are placed in a situation that feels potentially fatal. There's chaos, there's tension. It feels like everything is about to change. If they died there, it would directly impact Mike and Nancy. It would push their arcs forward, but instead, they survive. And their survival barely affects anything afterward, which makes the moment feel temporary, not meaningful. Once the audience notices that even scenes like this have no real consequences, it becomes much harder to stay invested. This problem becomes even more obvious in how danger scenes are handled. Take the hospital sequence. Robin, Lucas, and Max are hiding while demo dogs search the area. This should be pure silence, pure fear. One sound and they're dead. Instead, there's movement, there's noise, there's even music. The demo dogs wander slowly. They don't react the way they used to. They only become a threat when the plot needs them to. This happens again and again. Characters survive not because they made smart decisions, but because the story refuses to let anything go wrong. And once that becomes clear, the tension disappears completely. At the same time, the world itself stops making sense. Earlier seasons had clear rules, how the Upside Down worked, how its creatures behaved. But in the final season, those rules are constantly changed. The Demogorgon was originally an independent creature. Now it's suggested it was always controlled by Vecna, which creates obvious contradictions. The Mind Flayer, once one of the biggest threats, is mostly absent, even though there's a massive opening between worlds. And then there's Hawkins. After everything that happened, the town should feel unstable, damaged. Instead, people go back to normal life quickly, as if nothing really happened. When the world stops following its own logic, it becomes harder to stay immersed. Another issue is the size of the cast. Instead of narrowing things down for the ending, the show spreads itself even wider. Characters are split into smaller groups. New dynamics are introduced, and not everyone gets proper attention. Some characters disappear for long stretches. Others get focus that doesn't feel essential. The story keeps jumping between groups without fully committing to any of them, which makes everything feel scattered, not cohesive. All of this leads to the finale, which should feel clear, emotional, final. Instead, it feels uncertain. The biggest example is 11. There's a moment where it seems like she sacrifices herself, staying behind as everything collapses. It feels definitive, meaningful. But then the epilogue suggests something else, that she might still be alive.
When she cast Sunbeam,
Goodbye, Mike.
she expended the last of her energy and she vanished. Has anyone asked themselves how she cast that spell?
The suppression stone. She couldn't have used her magic.
See, the mage is very clever. A cleverness only matched by her sister, who, upon hearing the pleads of the paladin, had a change of heart.
Don't cry, Jane. My story was always going to end here. But yours doesn't have to.
She had to make everyone, including her friends, believe that she was dead. And so the sister cast a spell from far away, safe from the power of the suppression stone. A spell of invisibility. The maid you saw die was not real. She was an illusion.
Where did she go?
No one knows. No one will ever know. But I'd like to imagine that she's in a beautiful land somewhere far away.
The show never fully commits. And instead of a strong conclusion, it leaves things open in a way that weakens the payoff. The most frustrating part is that Stranger Things didn't fail because it lacked potential. It failed because it moved away from what made it work. Mystery was replaced with explanation. Danger was replaced with convenience. Stakes were replaced with safety. You can see it everywhere. In the scenes, in how characters survive impossible situations, in how major moments lead to nothing, in how the world stops making sense, and in trying to wrap everything up neatly, the Duffer Brothers removed the unpredictability, the tension, and the mystery that made the show special. Because sometimes, what makes a story powerful isn't how much you show, it's how much you leave unknown.